Hi, welcome to Blending Creative. Today I'll be teaching you how to draft a basic bodice pattern with freehand. So please, these are the things that you're going to need. You're going to need your tape rule, you're going to need your marker, you're going to need your ruler, your cell tape, and also you need your plain paper also. You can use calendar, you can use cardboard, you can use brown paper, whichever, you can even use pattern paper, whichever you can afford, you can make do of it. So if you are new to my channel, please click on the subscribe button. For the old subscribers, thank you very much for sticking by me. Please watch this video to the end and don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and drop your comment in the comment section. I'll be there to read all your comments and improve in whichever way you want me to improve. So I'll be just there in the comment section. So we'll go straight to measuring the line. So the first line is the bust point, which is 10, and the other line is 16 inches, which is the waist line. And also the next one is the hip line, which is 24. So you just go ahead and you rule like I have ruled. The very first one at the tip of the paper, you can see that's the shoulder line before the bust line and the waistline, then the hip line. So we're going to measure the depth of our neck. We're going to measure the depth of the neck. So I'll be using 4 inches. So you can use 3 inches if maybe you want to make a high neck at the front, or you want to make a turtleneck. So I'm going to make use of 4 inches. 4 inches. So mark out at 4 inches, and also the neckline it's 3.5 inches, 3.5 inches. So I'll just go ahead and mark on both sides. I'm going to mark the 3.5 inches down so that it will be accurate. My line will be straight. You can see how I'm doing it. Then you go to the other side and measure 4 also so that the line will be straight. So you go ahead and use your ruler to draw the line straight. Draw the line straight. You can see I've drawn my line straight. So from the mid, that's the angle 90. From that angle, we're just going to measure 1 inch upward, so that will be act as a guideline for our curve to curve the round neck. So I'll just use the cover of a can. I'm just going to use it so that my curve will be accurate. You can see. So I'll just use it to draw the curve at the neck. So this is the neckline. So we'll go ahead and we are going to measure the shoulder. The shoulder is 7 inches. So I'm just going to add half inches for allowance, for joining allowance for the sleeve. So I'm going to mark out 7 inches. So the next slope we're going to from that point where I marked the 7 inches, we're going to mark 1 inch. Then you slope down to the neckline. So slope down to the neckline. So the next thing we're going to do is to measure our armhole. Oh, to measure our armhole. So we're going to some persons use shoulder divided by 2, adding 1 inch. Some use half inch. Some use a bust point, bust circumference divided by 6, adding 1.5 inch. Whichever that suits you, you can use. So I'm using just the shoulder divided by 2, adding half inch to it. So with that point of the armhole, that's where we're going to mark as our upper bust line. So we're going to mark and rule our upper bust line. I'm sorry, my marker somehow malfunctioning. Okay. So that's our upper bust line. So the next thing is for us to measure the 7.5 inch that we measured for the neck, sorry, the shoulder line. We're going to measure it there also at the bust, upper bust line. So we are just going to measure it down, then we are going to rule. So after ruling, we are going to go ahead and measure our bust circumference. You're going to measure your bust circumference divided by 4. Your bust circumference divided by 4. And you add 1 inch seam allowance or 1.5 inch seam allowance. Then and you can go ahead and mark. So the upper bust measurement is the same with the bust point measurement. So we don't need to measure the bust point measurement again. So the waist, we are going to divide it by 4 also, adding 1.5 inch allowance, then also adding 1 inch allowance for that. So we're going to add one for that. So also the hip line, we're going to divide it also with 4, adding a 1.5 inch or the 1 inch seam allowance. Then we are going to connect the bust to the hip, to the waist, and from the waist down to the hip line. So you can see how I have curved that my line. So I told you it's freehand. I'm not using patterns. I'm not using the French curve. I'm not using those French curves and the rest. So I'm just using the freehand. So well, for us to get for us to slope our armhole, you are going to divide your armhole by 2. You can see how I folded the tip into 2 for the armhole measurement to know where the middle point is. So I'm just going to go ahead and minus 1 inch. And so from that 1 inch, I'm just going to slope it down to the upper shoulder, then slope it down to the arm, the bust, upper bust point there. You can see how I am doing it. So watch carefully, and so you just slope it down to meet you can see how it is. That will enable the sleeve to fit well. No, it will no longer fold. There will not be folding in this armhole point. So for us to mark out at that point, we are just going to measure 1 inch below the bust point. You know the bust point measurement is 10, so that means 11. We are going to start our that from 11. Then from the hip line, we are just going to measure 2 inch or 2.5 inch from the hip line. So then also for us to detect, to know where to put our dart, you're going to divide you're going to know your nipple to nipple point. So nipple to nipple point. So I'm marking out the nipple to nipple point. Yours could be 7, could be 8 divided by 2. So that is our dart point. So I'll just go ahead and mark it out there. So, I'm using I'm using freehand, so you can use your ruler to make it straight. So at the midpoint, that is at the waistline, we are going to measure. You know, we added 1 inch the other time, so we are just going to remove that 1 inch. So we're going to distribute the 1 inch around the line. So ½ inch at one side, ½ inch at the other side. Then we are going to draw the line close to the hip line where we measure 2 inch up. So you can see. So follow. closely. So we just go ahead and draw, and our dart is ready. So that's our dart. All right, the dart gives shapes to the clothes, which gives shape to our dress. So, after the breast, there's something after our bust. You see that there's a little bit depression at the bottom of the breast. So that one gives shapes to the dress. So for our side dart, in case you want to do side dart, so we just divide your from the armhole down to the hip line, sorry, the waistline. You're going to divide it by 2, so you mark out the place. Then also you just rule it down to rule it down to the 10, rule it down to the 10. So you rule it down to the 10, just measure from the midpoint and you rule it down to the 10. So I've ruled it down. So you are going to distribute that 1 inch also. So from the mid apex there, you're going to measure 1 inch as usual. From that point, measure 1 inch. Then distribute the 1 inch also for the darts. You can see half inch at one side, half inch at the other side. Then you draw down. You can see our side dart is ready. So our front bodice, this is the front bodice pattern. So this is the front bodice pattern. So for the back bodice pattern, we are just going to alter little things from here. We are just going to just little difference. So for your, instead of measuring 4 inch as your depth, neck depth, you are just going to measure 1.5 inch for your back depth. You can see, instead of the 4 inch, you measure 1.5 inch. That's for the neckline at the back. So we are drafting the back pattern now. So for the armhole, instead of this 1 inch that you measured, no need to measure 1 inch again. So you just have to curve your armhole just like that. No need to measure that 1 inch that will minus at the front. So you just curve it this way. That's just the difference between the front and the back bodies. Then also the back bodies do not have side dart. So you only have the back dart. So you can see, so you can see that the back do not have a side dart, just the front. So when drafting your back bodies, you have to remove the side dart, and also you have to remember to put your zipper allowance also. I hope you've learned a lot from this tutorial. Please subscribe to my channel. I'll be posting more beautiful videos on this channel. Please stick to this channel and watch out for new videos every week. See you. Bye. Subscribe to my channel.